Hello and welcome back to Lombardi Sweep. We got a lot to talk about today, kinda-ish in a way. It's a different kind of show because we play tomorrow night, so we actually have the majority of the news, except for I suppose what is going on with Devontae Adams, which is the big news. But we will talk through it all. I'm Zach Bruner, Jana Wilson, Trevor Land, and Luke Reimer are all here. Trevor's a little shy today, so he's going to be a little bit quiet.
So be nice to him in the comments.
Yeah, be nice to him. He's just he's nervous about tomorrow night because the Packers are 6.5-point underdogs, and I get it. I get it. The Cardinals blow. You don't want to lose to the Cardinals. It's embarrassing, but the Packers might. Trevor, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
You really have to test me, don't you? I'm going to show up to work with no voice, not be able to talk. They'll be like, why? I said, these dudes, they tested me yesterday.
They'll say we watched the show, and it's gonna be okay if you lose to the Cardinals. We get it. You're upset. Everyone's gonna say it. It's
No.
fine.
They're going to say, we watched the show, and thank God you were there because you carried them like every week.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess we should talk about last week a little bit. It kind of went how we predicted. We thought it was going to be the easiest game for the Packers. I think the score was the final score was a little bit wider than what the game showed because obviously Heineke could have very easily had 2 other touchdowns and could have ruined the Packers' red zone record, their perfect red zone record for the week. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good game. I thought the offensive line sucked, but aside from that, I don't know, Luke, what do you think about the game?
I mean, it was just a grinded out game. It seemed to go exactly how we thought it was going to. Although, of course, my guarantee that the one that I thought was going to be good in fantasy football show didn't hit with J.D. McKissick. I don't know why they didn't use him more. But there is something, the Packers are playing good football right now, and that's with their receivers. The Packers are not making mistakes. They're not turning the ball over. They played bend, don't break. That's pretty easy to say against the Washington offense. But there were a little holes there. Like Washington was getting to the Packers on 4 rushers, and they do have a good defensive line. But that's a little scary going forward. It helps that J.J. Watt's out. It helps that Chandler Jones is coming back from injury or COVID, or if coming back, I don't know. But I think there are holes. A.J. Dillon fumbled twice. I think that's a little concerning. This last week seemed like a game where you can make these mistakes because you're good enough to beat a pretty bad team.
Yeah, people kind of forget who the Packers played. People are talking about how good the defense played, how good the red zone defense was doing, all of that. But Washington was one of the worst red zone offenses in the league. Washington's offense as a whole is a disaster. Their defense is terrible outside of the front 4. So is again kind of one of those games that it was a lose-lose for the Packers. They came away, nothing bad happened, and unfortunately we're down players because of COVID, but Packers did what they were supposed to do, and they've been playing pretty good offensively, aside from the offensive line, the entire season. So I feel like we are doing all right.
Maybe Bruce Allen sent someone out on Washington to give everyone COVID, and the Packers are just the first victim of that.
Maybe. Who was the Trojan horse, you think? Who did the Packers bring in? Oh, it was Whitney Merciless. He probably had COVID. Sent him in as a Trojan horse. Cough on everybody. Damn it, I should have known. I was nervous because right before Devontae got ruled out, Mercedes Lewis posted a picture on Twitter, like 2 of them like laughing during the game on the bench together. I'm like, son of a bitch, we're gonna be down Mercedes Lewis too. But he's too strong of a man to be taken down by COVID. Take notes. Like he gave COVID Mercedes. That's what he did. He is too damn good, dude. He is unbelievable. Janet, I mean, aside from laughing at Washington or anti-Packers fans' misery, do you have any takeaways from the game? It was pretty one note, I would say.
I will say it was a little shaky at the very beginning. They were definitely getting to Aaron Rodgers pretty often. So I kept questioning. I was like, what's going on? This defense is 31st in the league. Why are they getting to Rodgers so easily? But after a few adjustments, they started picking up the pace. Although I don't I don't like that just because I know that Packers has a record of losing games if they're not ahead by the first quarter. So it's obviously like something I'm afraid of with Arizona, just because I know that they're the best playing ball right now. So I don't want the Packers to start off slow at this during this game at all.
Well, don't worry, guys, because Heineke, according to PFF, the god of all football stats, Heineke was pressured 40% of the time and Rodgers only 22. So our offensive line is just fine.
That's true. Maybe they asked Rodgers, like, did you feel under pressure? And he's like, nah, I'm always cool. So I was
Did
only
you feel-
under pressure like 22%.
Did you feel hurried? Did they trip you?
Yeah. Fucking hurries. That's the dumbest stat. Like, oh man, it makes me angry. I asked people in the description to give us score predictions for Thursday night's game. So the first one that has come in is from Dwayne. He thinks the Packers are going to win 31-28. And we'll give our score predictions at the end, but I like optimism here on a Thursday. I think, I don't have the number ahead of me, so I apologize if I'm wrong. I think Aaron Rodgers has won his past 10 primetime games. I think it's something like that, like primetime night games. Maybe it's Thursday. There's some number like that out there. Obviously, in primetime, crunch time, a lot of divisional games in those, but he usually comes to play. Anything else to say about the Washington game? Anybody?
Billy Turner got turned into Billy Turned Around on one play. I don't know. I don't know.
That's for Luke.
I don't know who's coming off the edge, if it was Chase Young or Matt Ioannidis or whatever, but he just pushed Billy Turner and turned him around. It was tough to see. I will say, off the hurries, I didn't see much coming from the right guard spot. Thought Royce Newman played fine.
He was great, dude. He's so good.
It's because his girl was in the crowd wearing his jersey. That's why he played good.
Yeah.
I don't have enough of a voice to be able to go off of that. But what I will say, if anybody wants to look back on the Tunyon touchdown on a little out route towards the corner, watch that play and watch Adams on the bottom of your screen for as long as possible, because he cooked that cornerback's ass. Like, cooked him. Like, he was wide open. And the other thing that I took from that game, is it really that difficult to have a quarterback spy? Like, just for one play? Am I missing something?
I mean, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You wouldn't think you would need one against Heineke, I guess, in the defense's defense. Yeah, we also don't have good enough people in coverage to have someone devoted just to the quarterback. We kind of need everybody to cover at this point.
I will say too about the game, pretty cool. Shannon Sullivan got the interception, gave the ball to his dad. First time his dad ever saw him play. Pretty nice, pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at, again, Pro Football Focus, because we're Pro Football Focus, a pro Football Focus show here. Looking at the offensive line. Yeah. Billy Turner was talked up like all week. Someone called him the MVP of the offensive line going into the game, which is an offensive lineman's curse, and he definitely had his worst game. Pro Football Focus isn't giving him, like, they gave him a bad grade, but they're only saying he gave up 3 hurries and a sack, and I think it was a lot worse than that. He did not have a good game. Royce Newman gave up a hurry, Luke. I don't know.
Shit, never mind. Royce Newman sucks.
Yeah, it's probably the only play he had to block somebody too. There was a play in Billy Turner's defense. There was a play there. Royce Newman was unblocked. Billy Turner got owned. Was trying to play catch up, and then Royce Newman came and picked him off the guy. So Royce Newman hit somebody, but it was our own player.
This isn't
a pattern.
It's not Packer related, but you had mentioned on the Fantasy Football Show that Forrest Buckner is pretty damn good defense tackle. I think I've always been a fan of John Allen. I think he's pretty good too, and I think he can take a guard and a center by himself, and I think that's what he did last week.
Multiple times. He turned Lucas Patrick around one time. There's one time they blamed, I think it was a sack or that it was a hit or something on Lucas Patrick, but it was one of those plays where it was a designed slide to the left, I believe. And then there's just a hole. Royce Newman didn't slide or whatever, and he went unblocked. It looked really silly. It's like, why would Lucas Patrick, the guy lined up straight ahead of him, why wouldn't he hit him? That's the reason for that. But yeah, gotta block guys like that. Moving on to the Cardinals, though, definitely going to be a tough game. They have to go to Arizona. They already traveled. Obviously, we know the COVID issues. Packers are down Joe Barry, and once that news came out, I'm like, oh my God, we're about to do it. We're going to win a Super Bowl. But then more bad news came. Devontae Adams tested positive. There's no news today about a negative test, but there's no news today about a positive test. If he tested negative today, he has a chance to test negative tomorrow and play since he's vaccinated.
They say that
I don't know.
They say that no news is good news, right?
You would think they would rule him out.
Yep.
But it might be like gamesmanship, just trying to milk it as long as possible. I wouldn't expect him to play, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Like, it's just one of those things Devontae would do, Allen Lazard isn't vaccinated, so that's where the close contact comes into play. Like, he didn't even test positive, but he has to be out because he's not vaccinated. So we are for sure without him, our best blocking wide receiver. In his replacement, Malik Taylor came off the COVID list. He is activated. He should be good to go. Assuming Devontae doesn't play, I would assume Juwan Winfrey gets activated. We've talked up Winfrey all the time. We even spell his name correctly, unlike some other people, but he's a solid player. Like, the Packers aren't in bad hands without Devontae. And before that Lazard news came out, obviously it sucks. Before the Lazard news came out, it sucks. But I was thinking, like, without Devontae, I almost think we had a better shot to win. Like, just forcing Aaron Rodgers to pass to different people and the defense doesn't know we're going to Devontae every time. I was feeling good, but I think losing both of them, kind of sucks. Jana, I know you were nodding. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree. And I was watching the pressers and they just kept asking. They asked everyone how, who are they going to throw the ball now to, since Adams was not playing. And Rodgers was like, there's other guys on the field, guys. Like, it's not just Adams by himself. Even Cobb, they asked Cobb. And he's like,
Yeah.
At me? Like, he might throw it to me, So, no, I totally agree. I think that the narrative that it's, and I think this morning on, what was I watching? Sports Grid. I was watching Sports Grid. They said that, like, oh, Kyler Murray has all these guys, but Aaron only has Devontae Adams. And I was like, okay, calm down. Have you been watching our games? Like, no, it's not just Devontae. There's other guys on the field that he can easily rely on.
Mm-hmm. It's also one of those things, like, Devontae is, I would assume we all believe this, and I think it's true. I think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. He is ungodly talented at so many things. For a play caller, it's almost one of those things where you get into a lull, you get a little bit lazy, and you're just like, we know Devontae is going to win that matchup, so we're just going to throw it there. Without him, assuming he doesn't play, it forces LaFleur to get a little bit creative, and it forces him to come up with new concepts, and something that we have been needing all season so far. And it's just been the same sort of monotonous bullshit, especially once we get into the red zone. We haven't been super good. And I think this could be good. Like, this is actually forces LaFleur to flex his brain a little bit here and prove that he is a offensive guru like people initially thought, Going on to, I got the practice report here, actually. So on the Packers side, Dennis Kelly is doubtful. Who cares? We had Kenny Clark, full participant. Dean Lowry. By the way, Dean Lowry is looking. Who, like, JJ Watt, who, like, he is killing it out there. Right, Trevor? Anyway, okay.
Imagine not being a fan of Dean Lowry.
Can you imagine the idiot who doesn't love Dean Lowry? It's insane. Packers are pretty healthy. Preston Smith was limited in every single practice this week. Again, shortened week, a lot of virtual stuff. So it's tough to tell what limited even means. But it certainly seems like we're going to get Preston Smith back, which is good because we got Preston Smith, we got Merciless, Rashawn Gary, who is making everybody hurry no matter where he goes. He's kind of just kind of a pest. Like I feel like the pass rush is going to be there. It should be good. Gray, can't remember his first name right now, but Gray, who interviewed for the defensive coordinator job, who was more qualified than Joe Barry to get the defensive coordinator job, secondary coach, he's going to be calling plays. I think it's fine. Like I know it's a little bit of a change for the players getting the calls, and there could be some hiccups in that way, but it seems seamless, and it seems like it's almost an upgrade to me personally. So I think on the defensive side of the ball, obviously we have our injuries and we're facing a really tough opponent. I think we're healthier. I think we're going to be good, and I think I'm sort of optimistic. What do you think, Luke?
I'm optimistic as well. A lot of, I don't know if we're gonna dive into this in a little bit, but a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, Taylor Heinicke ran for 95 yards against us. What is Kyler Murray gonna do? Whatever." The Arizona Cardinals don't design Kyler Murray runs. I don't know if people understand that. He hasn't had more than 40 yards rushing this year, or more than 39. Like, they want him to throw the ball. They have weapons where he's going to throw the ball too. So I think that whole narrative of, oh, Kyler Murray is going to run for 200 yards, blah blah. I think that's all a farce. Come Lamar Jackson in a couple weeks, that's a different story. But they're not designing runs to Kyler Murray. I think that helps the defensive line out so much. Especially if you get Preston Smith back. They were definitely missing Preston Smith last week. I think that's a big reason why Taylor Heinicke was able to run so much. He was under pressure, but a lot of times he ran around to that right side. Seems like a place that Preston Smith usually is there to get some pressure on. So I'm not too concerned about Kyler Murray running the ball. What I am concerned about is their running backs. Zach, we talked about on the Fantasy Football Show. They have two running backs who specialize in two things, probably the two key things to beat Packers defenses. Getting the ball out quick to Chase Edmonds, who kind of made a season on that, and short yardage running backs who can blow through the line in the red zone, which James Conner has made a career on that. So it's going to be tough. Linebackers are going to need to step up if the Packers want to stop the run and be in this game. So this game is definitely going to be on Devondre Campbell and Jalen Smith big time. And that concerns me a little bit.
It does concern me.
Luke, Kyler Murray's legs are as short as mine, so that's probably why they don't want to.
True.
Right. It'd be harder. I bet we don't see any tripping calls because shorter legs definitely don't get tripping calls. But
it's very true. Don't get this kind of analysis anywhere else. That's very true.
Here's another type of analysis. There are 4 guarantees in life. One is the Packers look like Super Bowl contenders at the weirdest times and fake their fans into thinking they're going to do it. 2, the Cardinals choke and look like garbage at some point in the middle of the year. Well, those are the only 2 guaranteed. I don't know why I said 4, but those are guaranteed. It's a revenge game for our new D coordinator who should have had the job. He's like, oh, you got the job. Well, let me show you. And then the fourth arrow to the knee, if you will, that guarantees a Packer win is I bet on the Cardinals in a parlay. I never win parlays. I always lose by 1. So for those 4 reasons, the Packers are guaranteed to win, and you heard it here first.
That just means you're due, Trevor, so you probably just doom the Packers.
Trust me, with my luck, I have been due for about 15 years now. It's not happening.
It's a Jerry Gray revenge game against himself. I like it. That's the pitch we need to go for. That's the promo we need to hype up the team. Like, we're going to show them who we really are. And it's going to be against LaFleur, basically. To your point, Luke, about Kyler Murray, though, it's also just not like a one-to-one comparison. People didn't prepare for Heinicke to be a runner. I would assume, to Trevor's point about, or who maybe is your point. Whoever made the point about quarterback spy, I think it was Trevor. I would assume the Packers have a spy this game, and they didn't think they needed one for Heineke. That could be good or bad that we have a spy, because if we have Devondre Campbell being a spy, that takes away what Devondre Campbell does well. So, I mean, it depends on what we do. But I'm not that nervous about Kyler Murray's legs. I'm nervous about him escaping sacks.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be, when Kyler Murray's hurried, Kyler Murray's going to escape. And Rashawn Gary's going to try to make him hurry all game long.
Kyler Murray.
And that's not good.
Kyler Murray escapes even when he's not hurried.
True.
So, yeah. So defense might be, this might be a game where you have to rotate in a lot of defenders on the defensive line to keep without being gassed. I wanted to bring up one quick thing. My Hall of Fame prediction for TJ Slayton went well. He got his first play as a Packer blocking a field goal last week.
Hey, I saw him. He was breathing before that play. Inhale, exhale, was concentrating on it, had his eyes closed, just focusing. Like, he can do this. He can do this. Dean Lowry's telling him, like, you got this, man. You got this. In and out, in and out. And he, bam, Dikembe Mutombo'd that thing. Just get it out of here.
Right. We talk about Trevor Lawrence, developing his arm, Kyler Murray developing his arm, whatever. TJ Slayton developing his breathing is something that nobody else is talking about.
I've heard Robert Tonyan, I've heard Aaron Rodgers talk about breathing techniques in the offseason, meditating. They've been working with them. Like, phone calls every night before bed. Inhale, exhale. Just a nice Skype call. Just them breathing silently, looking at each other. It's kind of weird, but it's working.
Right. If TJ Slayton was a part of those 90s Bulls teams with Phil Jackson's Zen offense, could you imagine that?
I almost can't. I almost need to end the show. I'm very excited.
What are we doing here?
So I was actually going to keep going. I was going to keep going. For my kindergartners, we do like this play 60 where, it's like where like the football players show
The Oklahoma drills are real, Zach.
Yeah. It's true, yeah.
There's actually a category of breathing. That's what he does. He just watches the play 60 breathing techniques that they have on there.
They have that setting. They have that setting on Wii Fit where you just sit on the board and meditate. I wonder if he's been doing that lately.
I think so. He is come. He could be Gilbert Brown. He is on his way. While we were talking about something earlier, I wanted to look up to see how many snaps Jalen Smith had, just because it felt like he made an impact in this game to me.
It did.
It felt like he made a couple plays. He had 10 snaps the entire game. So it seems really low. Again, according to Pro Football Focus. So I don't know. He did have a pressure, though. So that's big. That's really big. He needs more snaps in this game, man. Like, he is such a good athletic linebacker that even if he's the guy being a spy on Kyler, or at least he's not going to get beat on the edge. Like, we need him, I think, in this game. I'm hoping he gets a lot more. Like, I don't know, how many snaps did where's our other Oren Burks got 9 snaps. At least give him every one of those snaps. Let's get him to 19. Let's get Oren Burks out of here, dude. He's so bad. But yeah, he needs to be at around 30 snaps, I think. What else do we want to talk about? Wide receivers, like I said, I think Devontae and Lazard will be out. A lot of people are big on Equanimous. Maybe he does something. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Like, he hasn't been active the past few weeks for him being a wide receiver. He's a special teams player, so I assume he continues to be a special teams player. And they'll let the wide receivers be wide receivers,
Hey,
like, it'll be
okay.
okay.
Who else was a special teamer at first? I don't know if this is actually true or not, but I'm going to go for it. Randall Cobb. So, EQ,
technically,
game MVP.
his first
Kick
play.
returner.
Okay. Trevor has a point. This was our weekly segment of Trevor has a point, and that was good. What else do we want to talk
Kick me
about?
when I can't talk, huh, you jackass?
I guess we should talk about the Cardinals. Obviously, J.J. Watt has a shoulder injury. He's ruled out. I think that's massive. Obviously, J.J. Watt, great player. Cardinals' run defense is really bad. Yep. They give up the second most rushing yards per carry at 5, like 4.9 or 4.8 something, I think, to running backs. J.J. Watt's one of the best run defenders, so that takes one of the best run defenders away from a bad run defense. And we know what the Packers are going to do offensively because of that. Like, I would assume, Luke and you and I just talked about this. This is going to be a big running back game. I think they bring, I think, they use Aaron Jones a ton in a variety of ways. I think we see both him and Dylan on the field together, even some. And you made a point a little bit ago about Kylan Hill getting involved, and I think that's a great call. We see him super athletic, and he's got good hands. He's a good receiver as a running back. I think that's a really good call.
And he got the first rush last week of the game.
Yeah, LaFleur talked about it before last game that he needs to be more involved. We talked about that last week. I think this is a game to do that. If, put your money where your mouth is. Let's get the kids some touches here. But yeah, it should be a heavy run game. If the Packers don't need to throw, perfect. Like, that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to milk the clock. They're going to try to keep Kyler Murray off the field. That's how you beat the Cardinals. That's how you beat any good offensive team. In terms of other injuries, DeAndre Hopkins hasn't practiced this week. He has a hamstring injury. He's expected to play. If he's out, that would be awesome. But I do not think that is going to be the case. But it does mean he may not be 100%. And Eric Stokes, if there's one thing that kid is, it's fast. So I think he's going to be near DeAndre Hopkins at least. At the very least, he's going to be in frame for touchdown catches. So that's cool. Good for him. Get some publicity. Let's pray to all the football guys that Isaac Yiadom does not have to come near DeAndre Hopkins at all, because he will help DeAndre Hopkins catch it, I think. Yeah. He will hand
Henry
it off
Black,
to him.
Worst player I've ever seen play live. He's honestly bad. The most pathetic pile of shit they call a defensive player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, this just kind of going off of that a little bit. Eric, if no matter DeAndre Hopkins playing hurt, whatever, I think Eric Stokes has to travel with them around. I don't know if that's necessarily their plan, but that needs to happen. You can't have anyone else, and that's just weird saying the rookie, but that just goes to show how much Eric Stokes has kind of shown this year. That you can play a little bit, and to follow probably a top 3 receiver in the NFL. It's going to be a tough task, but you feel a lot more comfortable than anyone else, literally on the team following DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, 100%. It was easier last week because Washington had Terry McLaurin and nobody else, right? So they just had Stokes follow him, and then Rasul Douglas started at the opposite corner and played really well. And he's a good player. Like, he's a fine player. He's going to make some mistakes. He's going to have some bad penalties, but Rasul Douglas is a fine player. And he's a guy, I suppose, has had his matchups with AJ Green in the past. I think he can cover AJ Green. I'm not too nervous about that, to be completely honest.
I think a lot of people are falling in this idea that AJ Green's back to his Cincinnati days, which is not true at all. But Rasul Douglas reminds me a little bit of Bashaud Breeland. He's a fine player, makes mistakes, can make plays. I'm with you, Zach. I'm not too concerned about him following AJ Green around.
No. I guess let's talk about keys to the game, I suppose, and then give our score predictions, and we can get out of here. I'll be a broken record just saying that the offense and defensive lines need to play better. I think more specifically in this game, though, Kenny Clark needs to show up again. Like, if there's one thing that makes inexperienced quarterbacks flustered, it's getting pressure straight up the middle, because then they don't know where to run. They have to run a certain direction. That's how their eyes, come to right here, come at their feet. They stop looking downfield. So if he can be a disruptor in the middle of the offensive line again, or defensive line there, I think the Packers have a really good shot in this game, honestly.
Yeah, in terms of defensive line, I said it before, I think they have to keep guys fresh. You got to keep rotating guys in and out, because it's going to be a grind chasing Kyler Murray, Chase Edmonds, James Conner all game, especially on a short week. But as a guy who I like seeing points scored. I would much rather watch Big 12 football over Big 10 football. I'm on the opposite here, that this needs to be a grinded out game. Zach, you said you can't let Arizona control the clock. This needs to be a game like the opposite of New Orleans, where Green Bay just runs the ball. I said on Fantasy Football Show I would love to see Aaron Jones get 30 touches, and I'm honest about that. They got to get him the ball. They have to run, churn out 3, 4, 5 yards. It feels like every single play. Don't put this. It's not scary to put the ball in Rodgers' hands, but you don't want to in this game. You don't want these big plays because Arizona can come right back with these huge plays.
Yeah, I have to
I
agree.
agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I feel like you said, don't let Kyler Murray be on the field for too long. Just go ahead and run that clock, run the ball down the field, so that, just so that their offense doesn't get on that field. And I think that, sorry, it's because Baloo is chewing on my shoelaces. Like at the worst time. Go away. Honestly, I am kind of worried, but I also am not worried either, because I think, like Zach said, it gives Aaron Rodgers more options than just forcing the ball to Adams. And I kind of like when he mixes it up. And I do feel I can see when he's forcing the ball to Adams. So it's going to be exciting to see him without Adams, even though, I don't want him to be sick. I don't want him to be not playing. We all want him to be playing because of his amazing catches, and he plays just great. But at the same time, I kind of want to see what Aaron Rodgers does without him.
Agreed. Honestly, man, like, this game shouldn't be that hard. Obviously, we saw, I think it opened as Packers as 3 or 2.5 point underdogs. Adams got ruled out and moved 4 points immediately. So they're currently 6.5 point underdogs. The over under is 49.5. I think the Packers are a live dog. I think they're going to win this game. I don't believe in the Cardinals. I think they're talented. I think they're player led. They're not coach led. And their coach, honestly, is JJ Watt, and he's not going to be on the field. And I think that's massive. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring. I would go Packers 24, Cardinals 21. Give Mason Crosby a primetime field goal to win it.
I like it. To me, this is I don't want to say a legacy game, but it's a game. It's a game for Matt LaFleur. If they get behind early and they abandon the run, the Packers lose this game, maybe 35-14. Matt LaFleur has to coach well. He has to stick with the run. That's my MVP is Matt LaFleur, by the way. But this Packers need to control the clock. If they do, I still think I'm not as optimistic as you or Packers Twitter or anything. This is going to be a tough game. The Cardinals are 7-0 for a reason. Obviously, they're not the 16-0 Patriots, but they're not the 0-16 Lions. They're a little bit better than average, but they're a good team. They're undefeated for a reason. It's going to be a tough game. Their offense, I think, can match up with our offense, especially being down 2 receivers. I do think the Packers lose this game. It's tough to not practice all week. You're virtual all week, not get together to put together live schemes. But I think I like the low score because Packers do have to grind this game out. I'm going to say I'll throw 24-17 Arizona. I do think that this is where the Packers 6-game win streak comes to a halt.
I'm going to agree with Zach this time. But so the last time we met, Cardinals won 20 over Packers 17. I'm going to switch that score. Packers 20, Cardinals 17. Money Mason wins the game.
I do think that the last time they played, Josh Rosen might have been Arizona's quarterback.
So it's a quarterback downgrade to Kyler Murray then.
Right.
Cool.
When this happens, call it my Michael Jordan flu game, except more impressive. That's fine. I don't need to dub it. I'll
get the narrative going, Trevor.
I appreciate that.
Trevor was poisoned like Michael Jordan.
Yep.
If it doesn't happen, let's just act like this didn't happen.
Of course.
You're gonna look at me like a madman. I think it's Packers 34, and I think it's Arizona 17, and I think Arizona scores late. This reeks Badger football to me, and what I mean by that is stereotypical Badger football game with a good offensive line, mind you, where they run and they run and they run and they grind that defense to their studs. And the offense, with their quick tempo, if they don't get anything going quick, they're going to panic and it's going to snowball and snowball while that defense is getting built down, down, down. I think Aaron Rodgers is too damn good. And for all those reasons, like I said before, that it's guaranteed, I think this is a game like every season where we ask, what's wrong with Kyler Murray? And it solidifies that, hey, this Aaron Rodgers guy is he's the most talented quarterback of all time. Let's not, screw around with it.
It's also one of those games, like especially if Devontae's out, you have to feel like the Packers feel like they're playing with house money here. Like they got nothing to lose. They're counted out. Like they're not expected to win. And teams play looser that way, and usually leads to better things. It could be like recess football out there. It could be anything like that. Rodgers could just be making plays left and right. Like I said, I think LaFleur needs to be a little bit more creative in this game, which is a good thing for everybody involved. Man, that defense could go either way, though, for the Packers. Like, it could be a great game. It could be a dumpster fire. I'm excited to see what happens either way.
What's that quote? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Arizona played Tennessee, Minnesota. They barely won. Jacksonville blew out the Rams, barely beat 49ers, blew out the Browns, beat the Texans. They haven't played anybody of substance outside of the Rams. And the Rams were complete dog shit all game. I don't think they faced adversity all season.
This also isn't really getting talked about. But, like, it's in Arizona, right? Arizona's got really clean, dry, good air. TJ Slayton's going to be running out there, man. He's going to be left to right, sideline to sideline. He's never going to be out of breath because he will be always breathing.
Can I leave?
Going to be, yeah, see ya. He's going to take over. Put him anywhere.
You got to think, too, in that dome that there can be some air conditioning. It's going to filter in new air every couple seconds. That plays right into our favor.
I have no other points to make. I think that is everything on Thursday Night Football.
I do have a
QMVP.
Maybe on special teams.
I do have a point. New segment that might only be for this week, but I just wanted to bring it up. It's called Fun Facts with Luke. Julio Jones and Kurt Benkert are both 6'3", 220 pounds. That's pretty funny to think about. He said he'd be a great red zone receiver if left wide open.
Yeah, someone asked if he could play wide receiver, and yeah, the comparables are there. You can't deny it.
Yep.
Tell me he can't be the next Julio Jones.
Give him a chance.
Racist if you say no. Yeah, there you go.
If these girls call themselves Instagram models, he can call himself a wide receiver after playing Madden.
Bingo.
Fair enough.
I did not have Janet calling out Instagram models on my Packers bingo card, but here we stand.
Yeah, it's been an interesting show. This was Lombardi Sweep. Definitely share the show. Give it a review if you are on Apple Podcasts. I think that's what it's called now. I don't got Apple.
This show will be remembered as Trevor's Michael Jordan game, so nobody forget that.
I will title it as such. Don't you worry. But yeah, so this was Lombardi Sweep. Share it around, and we'll be back after a victory despite Luke's prediction. Later.